I'd like to call the meeting to order with a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, so we're reviewing the 1000 series.
We are reviewing the 1000s, there's quite a few of them, but not many that are suggested to keep and update. So we'll start right from the beginning, which is 1100. That is organization. It is prescribed by law and not required, and the recommendation is to remove.
These in your books?
They didn't bring their binder.
Oh.
Saving the tree. Saving the tree.
I don't use the binder. Isn't this what we're doing?
Yeah, we're good. We're looking for Tamara.
He just wants to be different, don't you, Fran?
Looking for Tamara.
All electric buses in a few years, Fran.
Okay.
The recommendation is to delete.
The recommendation is to delete. And sometimes even when they're not required, he'll say, you might wanna consider keeping this one. That's not what he said for this. So, but again, they're your policies.
My only, and that, I'm not saying this specifically to that policy, but as I read through a lot of these in the first part of the page, or part of the 1000, my only question about some of them is, if it's not in policy, is some of this information easily accessible to the public somewhere else? And some of them, like, and I don't know exactly which policy it was, but some of them talk about like the role of the board, which I realize is law. But when I go to Board of Ed on their website, there's no statement that says, here's what the board is responsible for. So if someone's like looking for information about the organization or what we do or what we're supposed to do versus the superintendent's supposed to do, that information's not out there for someone, at least if it's in a policy, they can find it. Or if we remove all of these that they're saying to remove, I kind of feel like we should have some kind of statement on the Board of Ed page that explains what the board's role is, because the average person doesn't know or understand it. And to me, some of these policies clearly explain it.
Yeah, so this particular one is, that's sort of how I feel, is like, for people that don't understand how this all works, this policy explains it. Now, will people go look for the organization policy to better understand how the organization operates? I doubt it. But it is helpful.
So
No, but
I agree.
these are literally the first ones you come to if you go to look for policies, is the 1000. So it's the first thing that comes up.
And just so you know, 1120 board authority, number of members, terms of office, 1130, they're recommended to keep.
But like, I know there were ones in here, and I'd have to go back through as we go through them and find where I made notes, but they talked about like the board's role is
Yeah.
to set policy and hire a superintendent. And, most people don't understand that, in my experience.
No.
So, and no one is gonna go dig through the law to figure that out.
But I
To
agree
me,
with
this-
I agree with what you're saying, but I think more people than not would Google role of a school board in New York State as opposed to trying to find it in the policy. I think,
That's possible,
But
but
I
I
agree
know
with
there
what-
are people who have dug through our policies
Yeah.
online. because they're trying to figure out who do I go to or what am I supposed to do in this situation? Because I've had people say to me over the last several years, okay, I looked for blah, 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 and I couldn't find it in the policy. Or I found this, is that what I'm supposed to do?
I think there's less and less of that though,
Probably.
based on the crazy emails we receive from people that clearly haven't read a policy a day in their life. So,
I'm not saying I would be opposed to removing these, but I think that we as a board should put something on the Board of Education page that explains the role of the board.
well, that's easy to fix. Okay, I'm good with the removal then, that made sense to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then I would just ask as we go through this, if there are things you wanna memorialize, so that we remember these are points we wanna make on that, front-facing page for the board. I'll star them so we don't lose track of them, okay? So how do we feel about this? You like this for that front-facing page? Or at least the Board of Education part?
That's what I was just looking at.
I like the whole organization piece, this is who the parties are, this is stakeholders, and this is what they do.
Okay, so add to the website.
Yep.
Under DOD. Alright. Good to go?
Yep.
Alright, so next we have 1110. That's the school district and board legal status. Again, legally, not legally required, already prescribed in law, recommendation is to remove.
Nothing in there that I need.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yes, sorry.
Everybody's good? Alright, so we're gonna remove 1110. 1120, board authority helps reduce district liability and exposure, keep. No recommended changes, and I don't know if you have any that you want to. Really, it just says if something is law, you cannot prohibit.
Right.
And if something isn't law, you have the leeway to create policies. Keep as is?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, next we have 1130, number of members, terms of office. It's recommended that we keep this. It is correct in terms of the number of members and terms of office, so I think we would just keep it as it is. Alright, 1200, board member qualifications, not legally required.
I like this piece attached to the other.
Well, I was gonna say, I know some of this is in like the packet of stuff we give to prospective board members. So my note was, is it easily found on the website? Like if someone were looking, is it easy to find?
We have a whole, not just the packet, but a page for perspective.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't go read through it to see if that details.
So maybe on that front facing page under Board of Education, we could just say something like there is a, what's that called, handbook
Yes.
for any prospective board members?
And push into that page.
The prospective board member page is a letter from MG. Or no, I'm sorry, it's a letter saying they can contact MG or company.
Right,
And it's very outdated because it says that there's a seminar on March 5th of 2022.
the page does, so I have to update that, I'll make a note.
The top of it is updated, 2024,
But the bottom has Saturday, March 5th,
2022. And interested individuals, is that typical to just contact you or Kelly, not a sitting board member?
I think that's always been the
Okay.
although, if and when there are vacancies that are coming along, you guys getting the word out there, and then people will ask you things and you can just, send them forward, but that has been typically what happens. Actually, not even me, Kelly, if anybody contacts me, I send them to Kelly.
But like this level of detail about who, how you are qualified to be a prospective board member is not on there.
Well, it does say questions about becoming a board member can be directed to any of the current board of ed members. Help if I would like actually read word for word. So yeah, I would say if we could put this 1,200 on this prospective BOE page.
Perspective BOE page. Okay? Done, or will be. 1207, absentee ballots, not legally required, already prescribed in law, remove. Everybody good with remove?
This is one that I think people would look up to, like, they would wonder about it, I guess.
I think if you searched for Google it, similarly, it would take you to the state ed site. Because don't a lot of our policies that we've been removing reference, if they've been removed because they're already state law, they reference that law? Like they don't just delete it off of the policy thing, right? Aren't we leaving the name?
So not only do we have this policy, but I do think we communicate about absentee ballots when elections are upcoming. I'm pretty sure, like again, that falls under Kelly's role, so I don't have intimate knowledge with that, but I'm pretty sure we do communicate that, as elections are coming up.
Alright, that's
So that people know what they need to do if they want one. I can make a note to ask Kelly about that.
When I just Googled it quickly, the second thing that came up was New York State Education Department. School district absentee ballot.
Right, so 1210 is BOE members nomination and election. This is a long one, and it's recommended to be removed. Not required, already prescribed in law.
This is literally word for word how it works, which I would think is
Except for this machine.
also, I should get rid of that, because
Yeah, and we don't hold that machine.
I would say get rid of.
Yep.
Is everybody good with remove? Alright. Next we have candidates for board membership expenditure statements.
Oh, wait, hang on.
Did I skip one?
was the next, no, I didn't see my note. On page 12, or I mean,
1210?
on 1210, item J. Is that law? And if not, do we have that spelled out somewhere? And the reason I ask is because if you get a board member who's not like the five of us and dedicated, that can become very important.
I think that's all.
That's law, and it's willfully refuses, so it's not like you can't be here because you have a conflict.
No, I know, because the next one, I think it's the next one says something about,
Yeah,
That's the law.
okay,
but I know districts have had to take action, and that is,
Just like that.
Yeah. Oh, I remember,
Yeah, impressive, thank you. Mine is better tonight.
Let's not get wild, it's
I remember. That's good, that's
Let's-
good. Listen, details.
let's not let that change me.
Yeah. Hey, negative or positive?
Oh, negative.
Negative, so. plus
So,
one.
so if you get one, it can't be
Yeah,
just.
Can't
yeah,
say
I
that.
like that.
You're one step ahead.
I like that. That's good.
Probably a good idea.
Right?
Live it down.
I mean, that's a self friend.
You should, you could trade them.
You got a plan.
Sorry, we're a little off track here.
No, it's okay. 12:20, we're in no rush, we just gotta get these done by the end of the year, we're
Oh,
good.
no rush.
12:20.
She got a March then.
She's just like.
We were just commenting on how we kind of have pet alarms.
It's been a lot in
January,
January.
February.
I did
Like
notice that you
March.
pointed out that you willfully have to not be here, as long as there's an excuse 3 in a row,
You're good.
right?
Excuse 3 in a row, no
Yeah.
problem.
No problem.
So, this one is also recommended to remove.
This is all that board member stuff, right? Yeah, packing kids and that stuff, yeah. Good Julie.
Yeah, and the way I look at this is, I mean, I've been here for 10 years and how many people have expressed interest in being a board member? This is not like highly desirable information. If somebody is interested in being a board member, they always reach out about what that means and what that's like. I
Well,
think
do
it's
some
very
research.
rare that somebody's just kind of like, I wonder what it means if you wanna be a board member, or what it takes to be a board
Wonder
member.
what the
They usually
expenditure
just
statement
look at it if they're interested in being a board member, so. I think having it in that board packet is the right place. So is everybody good with removing this?
Yeah.
Speaking of statements, did that work for you?
It did, I got confirmation this afternoon,
Okay.
shockingly, but I have to reach out to him before I run again.
Okay. Resignation and dismissal, again, not legally required, recommend remove.
That's not legally required, that's just
No,
our
because
own.
it's law, it's already prescribed in law.
The only note I had, and I honestly don't know the answer to this, that first paragraph, if it's not in our handbook, it should be. So that someone knows,
Can't just willy-nilly
right,
do this and this.
Right. and I don't know if that is in there, because when we did the handbook, it was more of like how we conduct ourselves and our calendar, like what kinds of things happen each month, and more about how we function than this kind of stuff.
Okay, so we wanna make sure that first paragraph gets
And I
into
don't
board
know,
handbook.
I would think so, yeah.
Walkie-talkie. Do you have your radio with you?
Is that your phone? Oh, it keeps to the computer? Oh. It's feedback on the computer.
Alright,
Sorry,
1300.
1300, powers and duties of the board, not legally required, already prescribed in law, removed.
This is the one where I wrote something about it shows the public what our role is. Some of the stuff is outdated and inaccurate, but it clearly tells someone what we do versus the superintendent versus someone else.
Yeah, I thought it was useful information.
That's kind of, this is where I wrote shows the public what the board's role is. But then there's other things where I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is accurate, I don't know if this is up to date. So even if we left it, I think it needs to be up.
What do you think this would be more like under the Board of Ed part of the website? So imagine if someone wants to know something about the Board of Education,
That's
they would go
really-
to the website and go to Board of Ed, they probably wouldn't go to policies.
Yeah.
So maybe we work on taking out what's no longer accurate, maybe make the statement. So I think it is valuable if they understand by way of knowing what we do, what we don't. What,
Or can we put policies, can you access policies through the BOE, Board of Education? No.
Well, the policies are on the BOE section of the website.
I'm indifferent.
Maybe we have a link that says about the BOE and then we can list some of these things down.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's in, like,
Right now, we
what do
go to
people,
Board of Ed, it literally just lists our names and has our picture.
Yeah.
The cover page of the,
well,
it doesn't say anything about what we do, what our role is.
another thing is like, you know how we have people approach us about like really random things that are outside of our purview?
That's where I think if you
But
put
I don't
something
know
like
if they would
this-
even read,
Well, it needs to be much more consolidated statement, I think, because there's a lot in the policy.
it's definitely.
I mean, I guess I would say we currently have the policy. Has it done what you would hope it would do?
No.
That's a
So
good point, no, I don't think it is.
So it's not gonna do it because it's on our website.
maybe if it's on the website in a place where,
Well, that's why I'm wondering if some of this stuff, if it's law, no one's gonna go Google, what's the law about school board?
I know
Very
we
few
talked
people.
about in the past of attaching the New York State education law somewhere. And you, I don't know how big it would be as an attachment, but under the Board of Ed, maybe,
I mean, it would be a link to take it to the law.
yeah, a link to take it there and then you could,
I mean, I don't think there's
just an
any
easy
harm,
link.
I don't think there's any harm in having a link that takes people to state education law. But again, most people aren't gonna read through it. I've read through parts of the law book looking for stuff, and it's like reading legal documents, it's
Right.
not easy to read. So to me, if the goal is really to educate people about our role and what is our role and what is not our role, a concise statement on the Board of Ed,
So
like
what
the front
if,
page would go more towards achieving that than, here, go read the law, because most people won't do that.
what if we keep track of all the things that you're thinking are important? And that is something that you guys work on together at your summer workshop.
That's
And-
great.
And we could do
And
it.
then you can make it say and do whatever you want and get it linked to that Board of Education page. And Rachel is keeping track, I'll make sure that you have this so you know which policies to look at for ideas or wording. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
So we'll remove it, but
And you'll be there
we'll
to
make a
assist.
note. You?
She might make an appearance.
You can.
That might be awkward. I have a real problem with 1310.
Compensation and expenses, legally required, not legally required, already prescribed in law, removed.
I think we should change it.
So you get,
Put our gummies in
what
there.
would you put in there? Gummies and
Candy and snacks.
$50,000.
Right.
You earn every dollar of that, but.
We should just add to our
I think
retirement, like years, for anybody who's had retirement. That's what we should do.
So good removing that one.
If you're on the town,
Help me.
no, if you're on the town board, it does.
Is this anything that you want noted for your write-up?
I think it's clear to
Because I think we have stuff about that in our handbook.
No, I actually think this should be on there. People come to me all the time, and they're like, well, at least you get paid for it, and I'm like,
No.
no,
Like
there's no
paid.
payment.
What do you mean by
Well, do you
paid?
think it should be on the website?
Like, people
Stuff?
don't realize that even though we're elected, it's not a paid position.
Well, but some school boards are.
Alright, so we'll
Usually
make
the
a note.
city ones are,
They're the only ones in New York
well,
State.
yeah, I was gonna say, everyone else.
I know, you're right, really teeny,
You don't get it towards
really teeny
retirement
tiny.
though. Like, this could add to your state retirement.
Then I wouldn't be able to be on it.
What?
That would be
Conflict?
Cause we're allowed to be elected as long.
No, cause the town board,
I could not.
so you could be on town board, that's right, but I'm
No.
saying,
No.
those kind of boards do, I think it's
Yeah.
crazy that,
This is the only specific one that
I
I'm
would start
not
with
allowed
state
to
retirement about $0.
Yeah.
cause there is no financial, there's no compensation whatsoever.
There's that, but there's also, I think that, and you gotta be careful, what you say.
Okay, so next we're at duties of the, nomination and election of board officers, not legally required, recommended to remove, already prescribed by law.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody good? Next is duties of the president of the Board of Education, not legally required, already prescribed by law, remove. I have a question on here, handbook ? When I read through it, I thought, that would be a good place.
That feels like a
I
handbook
don't
for
know
that
how
one
much
and the vice president, I think those are
Yep.
handbook items, not policy items.
So remove,
So a lot of the teaching, I think, our new board members goes over some of this as well.
and remove,
All that training and stuff.
I'll put in the handbook for this one too. Okay, so now we're up to 1330, appointments by the Board of Education. This policy can be helpful during annual meetings. Please review to make sure the appointments noted are accurate. So we're gonna keep this, I did not make copies of this for you, but we did review it and update it, so I have an updated one, ready to go.
Okay.
Okay.
So.
MG, the only note I had when I read through the list, I had a bunch of stuff, and I was like, I don't know if we approve or appoint those
There's some we don't, and then there's some that we do that aren't on.
that aren't on here, okay? Because you know how we get the extracurricular
Yep, appointment.
list? Does that have to be on here, or no, because those are not?
These are just all the state required titles, like, there's a new one now, that violence prevention
Yeah.
coordinator, that has to be on here. So this is just those types of, where there is a formal duty associated with it.
Okay,
Some workplace champion.
Yeah, it's not perfect, it's, yeah.
So via audits, via,
Just
reporting, via, DASA, things like that. These are those types of.
those appointments only, okay.
Alright, so this is a keep and it's updated. 1331, duties of the district clerk and clerk of the board, not legally required, again, recommended to be removed.
Okay.
If you're gonna keep it, you have to add on there, keep the stash of gummies at par.
And also
Then maybe
a
we should keep it in
variety,
there.
a variety.
A
Probably should
variety
keep
of
it in there.
And just put that as
Yeah, yeah, that's.
That is
the primary role.
Required by law, we'll look up here.
Education law,
Also-
please see, we made it up.
Please click this link to see the approved document.
Don't try and slip in some
Don't
dots.
slip in some,
Fake gummies, no way.
We know,
Fake
those will not do.
Okay, duties of the school district treasurer, again, the same thing. Duties of the tax collector, I'm just gonna go through because,
I think all these.
duties of the independent auditor, duties of the school activities treasurer.
I
The
have a
only
question.
one that is,
Yeah, I had a question about the school activities treasurer.
okay,
That
so
one's-
all of these are recommended to be removed. I'm
that
looking,
one doesn't reference a law, it references a commissioner's regulation.
which is education law.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with
I mean, the rest of the ones we've removed literally reference education law,
Yeah.
this one does not. So if the commissioner changes the regulation,
For which one?
1335, the duties of school
1335 isn't on the
activities
website.
treasurer.
I don't have 1335 on
It isn't on the website?
not.
I wonder
No.
if we already removed it
It
at
goes
some point.
1334 to 1336. So it's duties of the independent auditor and then duties of the school attorney.
Okay, so that's interesting. So this is mandated by law, but I know it's related to, the, office of, like, the ones that do the audit, comptroller's office.
Did we already,
So again, recommend to remove, which it makes it easy, cause it's not on there anyway.
I don't see it. It's not on our website.
That's fine. I have a question back, one though about the independent auditor.
Okay,
Is this still Amy Prater? Is she our claims auditor?
yes.
Is this is just not the claims auditor, right? This is,
So, you will have to ask
No, this
Jeff
is a CPA.
specifically, she's at our
This is
internal
claims.
claims
yes, but so
audit.
the internal claims auditor used to present to us quarterly. I don't know the last time we met with Amy.
She comes to those audit meetings.
Audit committee meetings maybe?
The audit committee.
Cause there was a point where she was coming, like,
Do you want that?
no, not, well, I don't know, so if everything's running smoothly, obviously we don't need that.
Yeah.
But
I think it's part of the audit committee meetings, which happen once a year.
once a year.
Once or twice a year.
Yeah.
I think if you have a new superintendent coming, you might want to make sure you
Yeah,
following that practice.
well, I know we used to do it because,
At least quarterly.
She used to present the
Mhm.
report to us.
I can leave that, I mean, we could still remove this, but I could check on that,
okay,
like the.
I think we'd like to add that back in before you leave, to make sure that we're doing that quarterly with the new super.
Okay.
I was the claims auditor for years, and there were things I presented all the time, so to wait an entire year would be,
What if,
Got it.
you could,
that's a long time.
Okay, what time is it?
6:05.
Oh, sorry.
Did you see something like that?
Kate Taylor.
6:07, 6:05, here. Well, is this down to designations by the BOE?
Yeah,
We're 1340 now?
1340?
Sorry, 1336, I want to
Yeah.
stop there
So
because
that's-
that's one that is not legally required but memorializes decisions made in this regard. Review and consider keeping it if accurate.
school attorney.
I think it's pretty accurate.
I mean, the only good thing about this is when it comes to, when people think that we have the overall, like, authority, we often say, like, based on legal counsel, or this kind of helps us with that.
Yeah.
For different
Refers to
reasons.
somebody who has more knowledge and then.
As long as it's accurate, I'm okay with
So you wanna keep it?
Yeah, we'll keep it.
Can you think of any other reason why I mean, I know all the reasons I contact our attorneys are covered by these things.
All legal charges and processes for each foundation and construction, legal counsel.
There's nothing on here about personnel.
That's what I was
No,
gonna say,
that's
I'm
what I
trying to
was
think of the word personnel,
Yeah,
if there's any conflicts at work.
Is it worth
Like,
having
we
a look and
consult
see
an
if this is
attorney.
like a
we can,
comprehensive
we, the board,
list?
I can ask Michael Dodd to review it.
Yeah,
We, the
and
board-
see like, is it a comprehensive list, cause I know what I sent you wasn't on this list,
Right.
it was the attorney.
Well, it says
We
may
did use
include.
them for that.
It does say may include, it doesn't say like.
Yeah, just
But,
like.
I think it just lists those because those are the ones people might not understand that we work with attorneys for.
I think that that sentence that says, for guidance on all affairs which are of a legal nature,
Mhm.
may include, I think that pretty much covers everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Without having to list
Right.
every single thing that we need
Yeah.
a lawyer for.
They tend to do some.
These are some of them that
Legal
I'll.
counsel for the district.
Sure.
So keep this, just make sure it's accurate.
Yeah.
Okay.
37's out.
Alright, school physician, you guys are good with removing that?
Yeah, I think it's like all the
Yeah.
other ones.
Designation by the BOE, not legally required. However, various laws require that school districts designate official newspapers, bank depositories and official bank signatories. This policy does not actually do that, though. It just says we will.
No, we usually designate it, I wrote a note, we usually designate all of those
We do
at
at
our
that
meeting.
annual
Annual
review,
meeting.
yep.
And I don't know
annual meeting.
that, like the note said something about designating them here.
Yes,
I don't know that we want to do that, because there have been times where at the reorg, we
You
decide we're not gonna use that
Yes.
publication, we're gonna, and it's easier to me to do it once a year at the reorg than to go change a policy
yes.
every time you need to.
So then we would remove this, if you,
Yeah.
either or, right? If you wanna keep this policy, then you would designate them in the policy. If you don't wanna do that, you would remove the policy and designate them at the annual meeting.
I say we designate a meeting.
And we don't need the policy to say
No,
that
what
we
he's
do it,
saying
we
is this
just do
policy
it.
doesn't do anything. Cause you're yeah, so,
Get rid of it. I would rather delete it and do it at the reorg.
For sure.
he said it doesn't actually designate anything, either name people in the policy or name the designated entities in the policy or remove it.
Is it required that we have 2 official newspapers?
I believe it is required.
I mean, newspapers are kind of,
How many do we have, don't we, I mean,
We
how
have
many?
two,
Well,
the Times, the Fairleigh Times.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, Wayne County
you know, we can't have a lot of options.
I'm just
Um,
saying, you know,
yeah.
there seems to be.
we're running out of options, yeah.
Yeah, like, at some point.
I don't know what will happen if that happens, we would just have to ask the question, cause I really don't know.
well, and I don't,
There's not even-
Kelly might know, cause I remember we talked about this at one point.
With the
about
Sun and
having
Record
two.
DNC.
And it could be that the law adapts as
Like, I
well
don't
and
care.
says that you can publish it online,
Online.
because even the newspapers that are dying still have an online.
Yeah, that's true,
Presence,
someone's still
so-
on online presence.
Alright, 1360 is a code of ethics for board members, so the only, this is legally required. But he mentioned considering combining it with 1700, which is a code of ethics for all personnel. You would just be included in that, or do you wanna have a separate one?
Separate one. I kind of like the idea of having a separate one, cause this spells out some things that
Or specific to board.
are specific to the board.
Okay? So then if you want to keep this, you need to review it.
There is a typo.
Self-service.
Yeah, there is a typo, I think that's supposed to, like, there's, item
says
C says
unselfish.
unselfish service,
Yeah,
item D says unself service.
Yeah,
D says take official actions only in public sessions.
on E.
Oh,
Yeah.
E.
No, C says
Oh,
unselfish
unself, got it.
and E says means of unself service.
Let's circle back.
So
Alright,
it should
say that again, so C, accept office
C
as
is
a board
okay.
member, okay?
It's fine.
but E, the
E.
last line, accepting all responsibilities as a means of unself service.
Ish,
It should say unselfish.
yes, got it.
And the other note I had is in F,
Mhm.
remember that a board member is one of an educational team. I think you need one member of an educational team.
Yeah, I agree, I think that makes it more clear.
Okay,
That's kind of H, F and H are the same.
F and H.
we have to add after one number.
No, cause F, we're part of, F is the bigger team with admin, and H is
Just us.
the board. Is the way I read that.
Anything good okay, sir?
Just keep reviewing that, I just need to use the restroom real quick.
There's a lot of new stuff in it.
It's full.
It is that. I think I grabbed the old thing.
How do you know that?
She, not that she was peeking.
She was like, well, everything didn't fit in there, guess where it is?
You probably need it again. Great.
I will, I'll give you
Like, look at it.
That thing is full.
It's like bulging out. Oh my goodness.
Is that salt and vinegar chips up top?
Just plain, or sea salt,
Would you touch it?
cheese salt,
Who would
Cheez-Its,
O doesn't make
apple
sense
crisp nutrition bar, the banana chocolate chunk.
Wait, are we live still?
Are we what?
Live still.
We're live with, oh, we are
I do
live.
notice gummy
Yeah, we
bears. Anything else, anyone?
Item O doesn't make sense. It says inspire and nurture the highest board of ethics and integrity. I'm not sure what it's supposed to say.
Make your grandma a cheer for ditch though.
Anything I can do.
I don't know if you just take out board out. Inspire and nurture the highest ethics and integrity. Or just take out the whole
Review
thing.
that, or the whole thing, that's weird.
I don't know what that was supposed to be.
It should say we're out of control.
And the only other thing I question is in P. You know how we do the disclosure every year at the reorg?
Oh, yeah.
It says something about a part of the form being acknowledged in the minutes. Do we actually acknowledge that, like list out in the minutes that,
I don't think so.
I would vote on that.
I don't think I've ever seen.
What's the question?
Item P talked about our disclosure of interest that we do at the reorg, like that each board member has to sign, and it says at the end, if part 2 of the form is completed, the disclosure is acknowledged in the minutes of the Board of Education. And I don't know that I've ever seen it specify anything other than
No.
that we filled it out.
Right. I don't either.
It should say if there's a conflict, it should be declared if there is a conflict of interest in the minutes.
In those minutes.
I don't think we've ever had one. Have we?
I don't know.
I don't think we've ever had a conflict of interest.
No.
I think that's what it's saying, is if there is.
If there is,
Well,
you
don't-
have to acknowledge
But it also
it.
said project of significant financial interest, well, what does that mean? That's,
Is it like if you have a spouse, don't you guys declare that on your form?
I don't know if that's part 1 or part 2.
But that's a question for
I'm a
Kelly.
numbers guy,
Let
what's?
Kelly would know.
I don't know.
So which question, I'll check it with
P.
Kelly.
Letter P.
Letter P.
The last, pick the last sentence.
I don't like the word
And then we're gonna
significant,
get rid of O. Right, you're moving O together.
what does that mean? It's 10,000 significant, 10,000 significant.
And significant to you?
Yeah, FG, we removed O because it didn't make sense.
Okay.
We just don't know if it's in the minutes.
Inspire and nurture the highest.
Board of Ethics and Integrity.
I expect that of you.
94, 05, 09, and 13.
So what I would say is if you guys are good, ending up here, we have a bunch of people waiting in the hallway, so I know it's a little early, but it'll give us some time to transition.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Wait,
Oh, really? Oh, really?
We're deleting that, we don't know.
Oh, we're-
It's overly what?
He was, yeah, what does O mean? I said, we're deleting that.
We just said take it out.
did Angela second?
Yes, I did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, we did